Welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Silva. We are back. We are lively. We are dabber more than ever. We have I have been watching Brad Pitt movies, more specifically the F1 movie. And after this, I want to watch the, what's that movie called? The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie? The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I want to watch that one, and in case you guys don't know, they're making, I think that's a sequel or either a prequel, but I believe it's a sequel based on the title because it's the continued adventures of Cliff Booth. Now, to think that a movie like that could be made is just absurd. A movie that is just so rooted in fun, and it's just a fun, lively film. You watch those films and you don't think it's fair because they show a lot of violence, and it shows violence in a way, and this isn't criticism. It depicts violence in a way that is just not realistic because in that movie he punches a hippie. He does a lot of things, but I'm talking about the character of Brad Pitt because he's a stunt devil and he's a stunt man, and he like beats a hippie up. Now everybody has been there where they want to unleash anger, and I know Quentin Tarantino has received criticism for the movies that he's made because they're so rooted in violence. The only criticism that I have is that we can't do that in real life. Because, people like me watch movies like that and they think they can do stuff like that, and then I get into arguments with my neighbors and stuff like that. But, it's the criticism of fantasy feeling like reality, and that's a great thing. It's a great thing that these movies feel the way they do, where they make you feel what you feel. But that is not what we're going to be talking about. What we're going to be talking about is something different. With the whole dating pool, it being so hostile and aggressive. Well, not really hostile or aggressive. The dating pool is more like not a pool. It's like a pool was flushed out and now there's no water in it. There's nothing you can do and there's nothing, the dating, I don't know why they call it the dating pool. They should call it the dating ocean because there's no fish in there. Or at least no fishes I want to catch. It's like I go fishing for salmon and instead I find tilapia. And that's a great example and allegory, You just go ahead and you try to immerse yourself and you talk to people and no. And here's the thing. I was talking to somebody who I thought was a friend, and I told them, essentially this wasn't a friend. This was pretty much a acquaintance, a forced acquaintance on my end because I should have stopped talking to this person a long time ago. But essentially it was in the case in the instance of a smoke shop owner, and I would go to the smoke shop to talk to him. And it was pretty much the epitome of when you talk too much to somebody who doesn't want to be spoken to, but you just talk and talk and talk and talk. He would just put up with me, and I actually genuinely, he's not watching the video because why would he? He doesn't know what my YouTube channel is. But I guess I don't even want to say apologize, but he probably didn't like me. He probably thought I spoke too much. He probably wanted me to shut up. And that being said, this is a message to all people. You gotta know when to cut people out of your life sooner rather than later, because it's gonna be the biggest waste of your time. The biggest waste of your time is when you allow people, or when you decide to let people sit, or you kind of seek them. You seek them. And I remember, I told him that I met a girl at the mall. And it was at Spencer's, and if I have my tattoos, and I have my I Love Booby bracelets, as you can see. I don't know if you can see them fully. And I have another tattoo here, which, they're all women tattoos, and then I have another tattoo here and my piercings. So, you would have thought it would have been the greatest match made in Spencer's, I guess you could say. And we started talking, and I never really, I ended up getting kind of I don't know if it was ghosted. I don't know. I eventually just ended up deleting the number and blocking it just because it was a little too much time that was going on between messaging, and I just don't know. I didn't know if it was gonna turn into anything. And then so I go ahead and I tell the smoke shop owner my story about how I had reached out, and I used this example of I had three flares. When you're on a boat, you have three flares. And I'm pretty much saying, there's a limit to how much you can cry out for help before you start to realize, I'm going to be stuck at sea. And it's just a matter of somebody finding you or them coming to you. And then, how did he use this against me? It was just a crappy story. Because I ended up going to church with somebody that I was like, an acquaintance, somebody who I thought was a friend. And I go to church, and it was pretty much like a cult. I've talked about this story before about how it was pretty much weird, I used to go to this coffee shop that was right next to it all started like a year ago, and oh shit. Okay, we're back on track. Rolling. Come on. Hopefully. Do you want to vote for someone? Well, now you have the chance to do so. With the Face of the Halloween competition right around the corner, and we're nearing down to the final 10, you have just a chance. If you want to give somebody the lucky chance to win a lucky 13K, that's right, 13K, not 31,000, but 13K, feel free to click the link below, or if you're on the page already, just go ahead and verify your account with your Facebook account, and you'll be able to vote once every 24 hours. And remember, everybody's entitled to one good scare. So essentially I used to work at the dog shop. Here was a smoke shop. Here was a coffee shop. Shop a lot. Take a drink every time I say shop. By the end of it, you might be more drunk than if you were to enter the Bill Cosby estate. Now that being said, I ended up getting let go from the job. I continued. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go because it's a wound that I have. I have this thing where I have to hold on to people, and I have to prove them that I'm worthy. I have to hold on to them like I was gonna say probably as hard as Rose holding on to Jack, but then we all remember how Rose did Jack pretty dirty. Because if you watch that episode of Mythbusters, they pretty much disprove this idea that you had to let go of Jack. No, you didn't have to. First of all, that's horrible. That whole scene is so tragic. It's horrible, and it's actually disgusting when you think of how his lifeless body was just like to the bottom. And to think about when you get older, you think about what happens, and you think about how he was probably eaten by fish or like some sort like like a shark or something. And you think about this, and I lost that job about 8 months ago, and I had been going to this coffee shop, and fast forward to like about 2 weeks ago to when I meet the girl. Prior to 2 weeks ago to when I decided to go to church with this mother fluffer. And let's just say I went to church, and it was good the first time. The second time was good. I wanted to essentially just go a few times and then on my own merit split and pursue a religion and faith on my own account. And it became very hard. And in the midst of that, I was still trying to find a girl. She was trying to find a romantic partner. And no luck. Almost like a gambling addict who just has a losing streak. I go to, as I'm going to church, this whole, he knows that I'm trying to look for a girl, and he's making he's criticizing my attempts because I'm on the dating apps. I wasn't trying to be sleazy. Yes, there is this history that dating apps are very sleazy. I agree with you. They tend to be. Those were not my intentions. I was trying to filter the individuals out. Except for that one time that I invited a girl over to my house, and I felt like I got drugged by her, willingly, I guess. Because let's just say that there was a certain plant involved. I of course ended up inhaling it through the form of smoke, and let's just say it was like it was laced with oxycodone. It was not the best experience, because the next morning I ended up waking up, and when I woke up, it felt like I had been drunk. Which is weird because you shouldn't feel that way when you're ingesting the vapor or smoke that is of a certain plant. Because I have to be careful because we are on YouTube. This isn't a movie. You can't get an NC-17 rating and say fuck however many fucking times you fucking want. You gotta be fucking careful. And that being said, he's like, no, don't go. You know how Christians are. They can be they're more judgmental than Simon Cowell. I'd rather have 10 Simon Cowells than one Christian in front of me. That being said, he was just no, don't, man, you stop with the dating apps. Don't, no, not the dating apps. And the Christians have this ability where they make you divulge things because, like, you want their validation. This is also horrible because you put someone like me and you put somebody like a Christian in the same room, and I am gonna like want their validation for some strange reason. It's like the worst recipe. It's like mixing painkillers with alcohol. It's a dangerous cocktail. This was not a dangerous cocktail. It was an underwhelming one, I should say. And he was judging my efforts. I felt dismissed. The other thing is, we gotta find you a church girl. That was another statement he was saying. And you might be wondering, how does all this go into the dating pool? Well, I'll tie into it, but I was trying to have my modest attempts. I really was. I was trying to have modest attempts. And he said this claim he said it like 4 times. You got to get you a church girl. I don't look like the type of boy or a guy who can handle a church girl. Not because they're freaky or because of this or that, because they're a whirlwind of a person. Because the exact opposite. I like to have some adventure. I'm not very prudent. How do you say it? I like to say the word fuck. I like to say the word motherfucker. Hopefully YouTube doesn't fucking ban me. And I like to say things like shit and asshole, That being said, I don't think he could pick up on that. And I wouldn't hide who I was around this man. I would tone it down a little, for the sake of not having to hear him, his Christian ass speak. That being said, I would just still insert my humor, because I grew up on Ryan Reynolds, and it was just that level of witticism, and I wouldn't hold back, really. There were times where I was like, okay, I am not gonna do anything, because, these Christian people are so, like, what's the word? They do faux passes where they make insults, or they do a misstep, and it's like, it's very easy to say, well, that was an accident, but no, it wasn't. And, look, one time I did say the guy looked like Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, and he's like, I was wearing a cardigan, and he's like, and you look like a grandma. So maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it was, the way his tone was like, yeah, and you look like a grandma. I was like, yeah, I look like a grandma that can beat your ass, you motherfucker. This whole thing is just absurd to me, because I was just trying to, make... if you know somebody for a year and you're still trying to make small talk, that's they're below an acquaintance. I'd rather befriend like Al Qaeda members or ISIS or something. And this is a part where I put my head down and I talk in dismay, in disapproval, in shame, because I tried, and I don't know what he would think. That's a horrible idea. First of all, that's like putting a toddler in the room of a nuclear launch room where they have the codes, and it's just as simple as hitting the red button. And it would just be a terrible idea. And when I went to church, I saw the women that were there, and they weren't good women. And I have this belief that women that are extremely devoted to some of these very strict religions, that they're some of the freakier people because they're so repressed. Like, look, yes, I might have done a few things in bed that if Father Priest Joseph heard about it, would probably condemn me to the gates of a dumpster or hell. So yeah, he ended up making to get to the point of it. One time I didn't end up showing to church because I didn't want to, and I ignored his text, and he didn't like that, and he confronted me about it in a rather I was like, no, because these people, you can't tell them that you don't want to go to church. You can't tell these motherfuckers that you don't want to go to church. You can't tell them. And then they get mad when people reject the religion. And I felt like I was one of Harvey Weinstein's victims. It was just ramming it down my throat, if you know what I mean. And of course, he ends up, fast forward to the time that he ends up confronting me about why I didn't text him, why I didn't go, and if I don't like him anymore. And I essentially end up saying this whole thing of, he ends up making a joke about my mom, and I ended up, again, at the time, I was like, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to be nice, because if I say something, it's going to be really disrespectful, and we're at a Christian-based coffee shop where you guys are bigots. And I decided to just say, okay, you know what? Not gonna say anything. And the more I thought about it, I was like, why didn't I say something? So I decided to kind of be like Eminem. Eminem confronts his people through his songs, and he writes, diss tracks. It's arguable whether he actually says these things in person. But what does he have to? No, because listen, the lyrics that he writes are. Even he says it. How could I not blow after the fact? I was saying after the fact. All I did was drop F-bombs. How could I not blow up or something? But, his lyrics are so hard to understand. He's so good that he raps so fast that the captions on YouTube can't even keep up. And even when you, as a fan of Eminem, are listening to, and this is a compliment to him, when you have the lyrics pulled up and you're listening to the song, you still don't know what he's saying, because the way he's able to morph the pronunciation of these words. This is a rap god who really believes, and he can prove it to anyone who says that you can't rhyme orange with anything. That's a lie. He's like, he said it, you're just not saying it right, you are just not thinking the right things, and you're just not creative. That's not what he said verbatim, but that was the sentiment behind it. And well, what the fuck, what was I talking about? I don't know how Eminem came into this. Oh, yeah, because I sent him the text message, and it was like, I could have confronted him in front of everyone and made a scene, or I could have just disappeared off the face of the earth and pretty much given him, I said, hey, I thought that joke, hey, I'm not going to go to church with you anymore, I appreciate it, and also, that joke that you made about my mom was so funny, P.S., and P.S. was like the middle finger emoji, and it was just kind of, that's what I left it at. And for a few days I felt horrible, because I was like, of course these Christians can guilt trip you without even saying anything. But I wasn't going to let it happen. But now here I am. I'm still on dating apps, and I'm still trying to be respectful, with my intentions. Not very hard. It's not like I have these like temptations to sexualize women. There's a way to treat women and to say it. But obviously we live in a period where it's just so hard. And time and time again, a lot of people have said they've been in one relationship. Oh, I had a friend who told me this. Not that he died, but I had a friend who told me this. He said, I dated one girl and I was in one relationship, and when it ended, that was it. And I was like, 100% true. I can relate to that. Now the thing is when will I ever find love? I don't know. And I told my, going back to the whole story of, will I ever find love? It's not just about that. It's about finding a rung below that. Will I ever find friendship? Because I told the smoke shop owner about how he had confronted me and about why I didn't hang out with him anymore and go to church with him, and ignoring his messages. And look, here's the thing: his girlfriend of the Christian dude. His girlfriend is prudent. They're like two puzzle pieces from two different. They're like puzzle pieces from two different puzzle piece sets that are crammed together, forced to fit. And the upsetting thing is that I see them, and in my opinion, I don't think they're that great of a fit. Yet they're still happy. It's like being happy in an abusive relationship. I just don't get it. And I tell that to the smoke shop owner, and I'm like, I don't understand. It made me feel uncomfortable, and I was like, it was upsetting. And he tells me, he's like, well, it's no different than what that girl did to you, and now you're doing it to him. I said, man, don't even bring that up. First of all, if you don't like the way I'm doing something, I was asking you for advice, and here's the part where I wanted him to feed me into delusion. But for you to bring out something that was a little different, where we were two consenting adults, and I'm talking about the girl from Spencer's, who I met there. For us, that was totally different, in my opinion, because there was a the intent was much more potent. The intent was to go on a date and hopefully see if there was anything there for it to flourish into a romantic setting, or a romantic relationship, I should say. Here, this man was trying to reform me. He probably would have wanted me to, he probably would have raised enough money through a GoFundMe page called Let's Remove Alex's Tattoos to get my tattoos removed. And you know what the thing is? I don't understand what this is. If you're a Christian, are you allowed to smoke and drink and have tattoos? Because when I went there, the guy that I went with had more he looked like a goddamn, like they say, you look like a notepad, like a doodle pad. And you can say that about me, but I feel like my compositions of the tattoos are much better because I have an actual tattoo artist. What he does, I don't know. It's like he made like a prison yard type of tattoo gun and decided to tattoo himself. And that's my defense to myself. That's why this is why I think not just love is dead, but friendship is dead. Because I didn't appreciate him bringing it up. And I said, oh, well, I said this, I'm so sorry that I'm bothering you. And I was like, well, what should I do then? Should I go talk to him then and hang out with him? And he's like, the smoke shop owner said, you can do whatever you want, Alex. Very low effort dismissiveness. I haven't gone back since. Well, I was actually going to go back and steal his turtle from his, because he had in his smoke shop, he had like a big tank for a turtle. And at the time he had two. I was going to steal one. And of course he had cameras. And upon arriving to go steal the turtle, and in that same day I was going to go and talk crap to the dude who spoke crap to my mom, the Christian. But it was so funny because I pull up and I'm thinking, why I look whiter than milk. I'm so pale. But I'll have to do some color correcting. But anyhow, I go up to the smoke shop, and I see, I'm expecting to see his two turtles that he originally had. What I see is only one. And I'm like, oh, where's the second one? He's like, I had to give it away because they were fighting. So I was like, oh shit, I can't do that. I can't steal them and leave it with no turtle. It's going to be a real Lady Gaga type situation where her Frenchies left and all this. But first of all, how the hell do you lose your Frenchies? You're Lady Gaga. Judah. I guess so much for Judas. So much for getting religious. But anyhow, you would have thought that she would have like a high security system in place, like with like gates and stuff. Like the Trump wall, but I guess not. But that being said, I just want to say this. Dating is really hard. It's drier than a yeast infection. You try. Nobody wants to give effort. Everybody's afraid of being normal. Nobody wants to talk to anyone. Everybody's afraid. How much? Everybody. Oh, damn, you got a close up, huh? Close up. How's that? Everybody just kind of wants to have this whole. It's like they say, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to have a relationship, but they can't be vulnerable enough. We're not asking you to give us a kiss on the first date, but if you get your attention straight is what we're saying. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die alone. I'm never gonna have sex again. Pretty much, I'm a forced reborn virgin. I'm in the same group as these Christians now, unfortunately, which I hate it. And yeah, there's no hope for nobody. This is disgusting. You go on dating apps, and I'm on a dating app for like people who have like neurodivergent people. And let me just say, are we all a box of broken toys? And on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and end this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Lately, these episodes have been a little on the darker side, But no, this has been fun. This is not a rant, because if you call it a rant, then you're a loser. This has just been me talking. I'm getting sleepy, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. And I've said everything I want to say. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good night, I hope a good day, a good evening, whenever you're watching this. I hope to see you guys next time. Go ahead and comment and like if you thought this was a good video, because honestly, I don't know if it was. Now that I'm talking about my dating life, it's like a new low. I'm talking about my dating life to a camera alone in my room. And on that note, I want to say thank you guys again once more, and I hope you guys have a good night, good everything, a good life. And that being said, I, your host Alex Silva, am signing off.